Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I'm here to talk to you about the season 2 finale of Superman and Lois. It was called Waiting for Superman. And as it starts, the newspaper lady, who I guess her name is Christine, I never really learned her name, but I think that's it, makes an announcement broadcast about what's happening and about how Superman likely won't be able to save the world this time. Lana and the girls go looking for Kyle as the worlds are continuing to merge. Natalie is distraught over being unable to reach John, but then he does make contact saying that he needs Natalie's escape pod, to be brought to him in the void. Tal Rose shows up at the Kent place offering to help as Bizarro Lois blips over to Earth when our Lois gets stuck in Bizarro World, where she finds her dad. Natalie decides to take her suit into the void in order to bring her dad the escape pod, and Tal heads into the void as well in Superman's place, intent on taking out Allie, only to soon find himself being drained by her and in need of help, which fortunately arrives in the form of Jordan, who catches him and keeps him from falling back to Earth at full force. Superman then decides to suit up and go off with his brother to try to stop Allie, and it's not quite clear what they're going to do because Superman doesn't have his powers at this particular point. Anyway, after Lois's dad seemingly blips back to Earth, leaving her in Bizarro World, Lois runs into Kyle, who apparently has blipped over there as well. Tal, it turns out, is bringing Superman right to the sun, where apparently Superman intends to repower himself by being thrown into the sun, presumably to absorb the sun's energy right at the source like gangbusters. But I had a question, as cool as this was, because if he doesn't have his powers, at all, which was the case at the end of last week's episode because he couldn't even hear Jordan from the porch when he was calling his name, how is he breathing in space? How has the vacuum of space not killed him? And how is he anywhere near the sun? And how is he going to survive being thrown into the sun long enough for it to re-empower him? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, this is what happens because Tal tosses him straight into the sun. It turns out that Natalie missed the part of her dad's message where he asked her to bring some XK with the pod so that they could blow it up and take out the portal. So they have to improvise. Back in Bizarro World, when Kyle tells Lois that he blames himself for his fate of being separated from his family, she tells him that he doesn't deserve that fate, but then he blinks out and lands back on Earth, leaving her there by herself. And then as soon as he arrives, he's able to reunite with his family. When the boys freak out a little bit that Superman's not going to come back from his little trip to the sun, General Lane tells them not to give up hope. But in the process of making this little speech, he mentions that Earth only has Superman for a hero, which of course is not true in the CW verse. Unless somehow now he's on a different Earth from Supergirl for one thing, as well as the Flash, which hasn't been my understanding up to this point. I know Stargirl, I guess, is on a different Earth, but this is supposed to be the same Earth that the rest of the CW verse is in. So I don't know what this is about. Anyway, inside the sun, Superman is burning up and then healing in a cycle, it seemed like, while remembering moments with his family before he indeed did get his powers back. And in a supercharged way, actually, it looked like, which was pretty cool. Natalie and John, meanwhile, transfer all the power from their suits into the shuttle pod and send it into the portal to explode. They say it works, but it didn't seem like it worked because it didn't stop anything from merging, because things kept merging. And in fact, weird stuff started happening, a submarine from Bizarro World fell out of the sky. I don't know how that works because it would have been in the ocean, but anyway. Superman then confronts Allie, and when she tries to drain him, he actually puts her hand on his chest and has her drain him even more. Apparently because he was so energized from the sun's energy that, first of all, he was able to do that without dying, and secondly, all of that energy was way too much for her to handle, and her two selves blow apart and they fall to Earth. Superman then flies at super speed around the combining worlds before landing in a massive ground pound maneuver, which apparently separated the almost fully merged worlds. The day having been saved, everyone celebrates, and there were even fireworks, one of which formed Superman's logo. That was pretty cool. Clark and Lana reconcile and they share a hug. And oh my goodness, I want them to be a couple really badly. I really, really do. Hashtag Team Lana. What would we call that? Hashtag Team Lark. Hashtag Team Clarana. Anyway, I'll work on that. Lois then decides that since Christina at the newspaper is her friend, she needs to tell her that Clark is Superman, so she does so. Sarah and Jordan have a bit of a reconciliation and agree to kind of start over, which I thought was pretty cool. When Kyle tries yet again, though, to fix things with Lana, she tells him it's probably not going to happen. So they have kind of a last dance together. For some reason, Lois then goes to visit the two Alleys who've been imprisoned at the DOD. It was kind of a weird conversation that I didn't think really meant anything. But next, back on the Kent farm, a pair of really cool trucks show up for the boys, courtesy of their uncle, their grateful uncle. And Clark is apprehensive about letting them keep them, and he kind of lightheartedly scolds his brother from a distance by kind of like shouting at him into the breeze, thinking that he'll probably hear him saying, "I don't know what your uncle was doing when he did this, but it wasn't a good idea, Tal," which is kind of funny. But what he doesn't know is that Tal has gone over to the other world, seemingly to see what kind of life he can make there. I don't know why he would choose that, but he did.
So this is the part of the review where I explained that I forgot to mention a scene that takes place after this scene before the next scene until I was in editing. So let me tell you what scene happened next. John Diggle shows up at a diner to visit John and to tell him that he's got a line on the guy who killed this Earth's John Steele and that he's a member of Intergang or whatever, and basically offers him up to John. I guess if John helps him track him down and take down Intergang or whatever. So it looks like that's going to be a part of season 3, which is okay, I guess. But of course, Diggle got screwed out of being a Green Lantern. So every time I see him now, I'm just angry at the producers because they didn't make him Green Lantern after they teased it. But anyway, on to the next scene.
General Lane and Lucy head off on some type of trip. I guess the general needs to take Lucy somewhere, and it would seem that that whole family is reconciled, which is very cool because, you know, you don't want there to be bad blood between family, so it's cool that they seem to have reconciled. Lucy is so gorgeous. It's terrible that the leading lady on this show is the least attractive one. I know that's very misogynistic. I know that's very Me Too of me to say, but like, it's weird, to cast a TV show and have the least attractive actress on the show be the lead. Like, both Lucy and Lana are more attractive than Lois. I mean, I guess they were stuck with her because they had cast her in in Supergirl to play Lois. But like, wow, really? They couldn't, really? She's not attractive. Superman should be with like the prettiest girl. Anyway, I'm a terrible person. The Kents go off on a little boat into the middle of the ocean so that Clark can toss a Kryptonian crystal in there and grow a second Fortress of Solitude, which he does, and it was pretty cool. And this new fortress is going to be for the whole family, not just him. And it was funny because I more than half expected that it would piss off Aquaman. Like, what are you doing, bro? And then he would show up saying, what the hell? But of course that didn't happen. And that's where the episode and the season ended. This was a really cool episode. It hit all the right notes. It reconciled everybody, or it started reconciliations with them if it didn't completely reconcile them. The cast did an amazing job. That includes the kids. I was saying in my last review or one before that the whole idea of this being an ensemble show where the family stuff gets mixed in was really starting to grow on me. I've always liked the content that they gave these characters, but I thought it distracted from, the super stuff and subtracted from what the show was supposed to be about. But I'm finding that I was wrong about that, and that it's all what the show is about. And it all works in a woven narrative. And, it all makes the show the sum of its parts, which is really cool. And it wouldn't be cool if the actors weren't good. but they are. And like I said, that includes the kids who do a really good job of portraying their characters in a way that seems real. It never seems fake. And for young people, that's a heck of an achievement in acting. And they also seem very adult for young people, which is cool. So I just, really have been enjoying this show, and this season, and this episode was no exception. Tal Rowe has been redeemed, which is great. I mean, he and Clark are closest brothers, which is great. Clark even tells Tal that he loves him, which is awesome. And it's kind of unfortunate that they have to sideline him, because you would have two Supermen. But he can show up every now and then to be like a second Superman, which would be cool. The actor that plays that part is fantastic. I've been saying that right along. So I was glad to see that. And, supercharged Superman was very cool. So, because it had some cool effects where his suit kind of like glows and whatnot. That was very cool. And they even have been getting Tyler Hoechlin, whatever his name is, to shave recently, so he doesn't look like homeless Superman anymore. It's much better with him shaving, for goodness sakes. So I'm glad they did that. My one lament about this season is that that Bizarro himself was in it for so little time. I don't know quite how they could have worked him in more, given how the season went, but it would have been cool if they'd found a way. I mean, Bizarro, like, how do you have a whole season about Bizarro when he's in 3 episodes? I wasn't a big fan of that, but it's not like the story they went with was lacking in any way. It's just that it would have been cool to continue to see him. I don't know how they could have done it, but it would have been cool, I thought. Maybe he could have been in it more before the point where he dies. But that's really my only thing about this season that I didn't like. Everything else I thought was great, overall. So yeah, that's really it. Great episode, great end to the season. I'm looking forward to season 3. I'm glad that everybody, the other thing I want to say is I'm glad that everybody knows, everybody important on the show knows that Clark is Superman. I think that's really going to make a difference too. Going forward, it's going to make the show even better. So that's another cool thing. And another reason why I'm looking forward to season 3. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back with more content soon. Until then, as always, I wish you peace and long life.